Hi guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel and welcome back to my speed building video, or welcome to the channel if you are new here. So in today's video, I'm going to be building in a brand new game on the market, which is Hometopia, and I'm going to be building a classic American suburban family home. So before I get too far into it, I did just want to say a massive thank you to everyone over at Hometopia for sponsoring this video and for making it possible. I feel very honoured that you reached out to me, and I'm super grateful, and I really appreciate it for getting on and actually talking a little bit more about Hometopia and more about the game itself. So if you haven't heard, Hometopia is a brand new building simulation game which is coming out in only a short amount of time. Now it's currently on wishlist on Steam, so if you want to, you can add it to your wishlist and then you'll get notified when the game is, available for you to download. But it's basically this new building game where you can either play a career mode or you can just go free reign and just build whatever you fancy. Now I am building basically on the whatever you fancy kind of section of the game, because basically the way that Hometopia is kind of built as a game is that you are an interior decorator, sometimes landscaper if you do gardens as well, but you basically will get assigned jobs from all these different characters in this world, and you basically go to their house. They'll give you a list of different things that they want. Some people might just want some gardening bits and bobs done, some people want like renovations, some people want home extensions. Like there is loads of different like building things that you can do in the career mode, but then there is also another mode where you can basically just freely build, and that is what you're seeing me do right now. You will also see me furnish the inside this house. Like I go in and I fully decorate the whole inside as well, but I wanted to showcase kind of like the building portion of this game, because to me it's really satisfying and it really gets into all the smaller details. Like you would have seen the way that I've built the main structure of this house. I started off by building the foundation, I then placed down all the different walls, I then placed down the windows, the doors, and then I was kind of like doing the floor plan as I was building. Like I kind of developed the floor plan for this house as I was building the exterior, and I just really enjoy the building mode of this game. And so I wanted to basically do a whole entire house build just showcasing pretty much the building aspect of the game, because I mean, you've probably gathered this by now, but I really do enjoy building things in all these different kinds of games. And so when Hometopia reached out to me, straight up my alley. Like this kind of game, this is my kind of cup of tea. And I'm just going to go off on a whim here, and I'm going to assume that you'll probably like this game as well. If you like building games, if you like cozy games, simulation games, satisfying games as well, because this game is very satisfying, you will probably like this game as well. It's a lot of fun, and it's very like hands-on. You can see that I've now moved over and I've started doing the roof, and I'm literally physically like placing down all the different roof pieces, and it's really fun, this game. And so yeah, I'm just so excited about sharing this build, because I basically ranked up the money for a little while to be able to actually sit down and build this, because I have been playing the career mode in this game for some time now, and I've basically been building up my money, getting it all ready so then I could just sit down and just build a really classic suburban family home in this game. And I'm so happy with the way it turned out. And so yeah, I really hope you guys like it and enjoy it as well. But like I said, there is a whole career mode attached to this game, so if you want to, and maybe you're a little bit intimidated by building and you really enjoy doing interiors and you love decorating the inside of houses, you can do that as well. Or maybe if you're someone that really enjoys doing like gardening and like gardening games or like farming kind of games, you will probably enjoy the garden aspect of this game as well, because with the jobs, like I said, there's a handful of different jobs that clients can give you. You can either get renovations, someone doesn't like their kitchen, they want a brand new kitchen, you'll come over and you'll renovate it to their delight, their taste. Or you could do like home extensions. Sometimes people want you to build like a whole exterior outbuilding. I've built like greenhouses before. I've built like separate little mini houses on clients' houses. So I've built like a miniature house within the house's garden. There is also like an actual gardening aspect. So sometimes clients might be like, okay, I want to have some more things going on in my back garden. I want like a zen garden, or I want like a cottagey kind of garden. Can you do that for me? Basically, what I'm trying to say is there is just so many different types of renovation jobs that you can do within the career mode itself. And so if you are a little bit intimidated by building and maybe you just really enjoy doing interior design, then this game is still for you, because that is one of the key features of the game. Also, I feel like this is probably a very important time to mention as well. Another key feature of this game, you can play it with your friends. Like, you can play this with your mates. If you're not aware about Hometopia, and maybe this is the first time you've ever heard of this game, Hometopia can be a multiplayer game if you want it to be. So you can play with up to 4 friends. I've seen that you can invite them via Steam, and basically you and 4 mates could go into a house, and you could say, for example, start renovating the bedroom, and someone could do the bathroom, or someone could do like the living room or the garden or the exterior. Like, you can basically build up a house with your friends, which I just think is so cool. But then again, if you don't want it to be that, you don't have to do that, and you can do it all by yourself. The way that I'm thinking of it as is, maybe one day I'm in a particular very sociable mood and I want to sit down and I want to build a massive house with my friends and I want to furnish it. I can do that. But then say the next day I'm a little bit more unsociable and I just want to be in my little cozy simulation game, building to my heart's content, and not really have to do any human interaction. I can also do that. Like, literally, you get the best of both worlds, which I'm really happy that they implemented this into the game, because it just makes it just more fun. Like, if you are more of a social player and you like playing games with your mates, then you can do that. But then you also don't have to. Like, they've literally given you the choice, and I'm really happy with that. But another thing that I wanted to mention, which you would have just seen me do, is the lighting in this game. The lighting, honestly, is probably one of my favourite features of this game, because you can choose the lighting to be however you want it to be, no matter what time of the day. So if you were to look in the top left corner of the screen, you can see that I've got my money, which actually at this point in time where I've started landscaping is decreasing quite rapidly. But you've got my money, and then you've got a series of different symbols. The symbol on the end of that little line is a little sun. If you click on that, you can basically change the cycle of the day. You can change it to be nighttime, afternoon time, midday, like morning, whatever you fancy. But then you can also change the angle of this. Do you know what? It might seem like such a small thing, but when you're building and you're doing something on the exterior and the lighting's just not hitting right and it's just not it can be so frustrating. But with this game, they've implemented it so you can change the daylight to be at different angles. You can change it to be nighttime if you want to. Like, the daylight itself in the game is so realistic, and it just makes the game look so good. And it's just one of my favourite things about this game, because like, when I was moving over into the back garden, I didn't have to, wait until a certain time of the day for it to then be sunny, so then I could carry on furnishing so I could see what I could do. I literally just swiveled round, went onto the little sun emoji button thing, and then changed it to the time of day that I wanted to be able to see. And yeah, it's really handy, the daylight portion of this game. But anyway, getting on and actually getting back to this build, and also talking about what I'm doing right now. So as you can see, I've pretty much built the whole shell of the build itself. I've already come in, done the windows, done the wallpapering. I'm just currently going around and focusing on the back garden. Now, another thing in this game, which I'm just so happy, honestly, I'm just so happy with this game overall, because they really did think about absolutely everything that you would want to play with as a builder. If you're playing a building game, they literally thought about everything that you might want to interact with and everything that you might want to be able to change. There is a creator tool, create swatches. Basically, you can make custom furniture pieces in this game. You would have seen me do it a little bit with some of the windows and then also some of the shutters. And you might see me do it as well a few times in the back garden with like a back garden bench and stuff. But basically, in the game itself, when you place down an object, say I might pull out something from the catalogue, I might pull out a window, and the window might be, I don't know why it would be, but say the window's purple, I could then click on the bottom portion of my game. You see where it says demolish, paint and inspect. If you click on the paint thing, you can then click on the item, and then you can paint it a series of different materials, whether it be wood, metals, fabrics, or you can just use the paint tool, either use one of the pre-created swatches in the game, or literally create a swatch yourself. Like, you could have like a certain swatch, a certain tone of something that you want to use. You can create it in like this little like colour wheel thing, and then place it down onto the object. Like, you can pretty much create your own stuff in this game, which is so cool. But you would have seen me used it, yeah, on like the windows. I changed some windows when I pulled them out of their catalogue originally. They were black, I decided to change them to white. I then also decided to change some of the shutters on some of the windows to be black, because I wanted to build like a classic American suburban house, and to me, in my head, they very often have shutters, and I just really like the look of black shutters and white windows. And so yeah, with like this like creator tool swatching system, I was able to do that. And then kind of off the back of that, you can then duplicate that item that you just designed yourself. So a good example of this is, you see over here, I'm just decorating this like little outdoor seating area table thing. I placed down a table and I placed down a few different chairs around it. Now, I could have, if I wanted to, I actually really like the swatches of these ones, and so I decided to keep them, but if I wanted to, I could have made them wooden chairs to be maybe metallic, and I wanted them to look like they were some sort of metal, and I maybe wanted that metal to be, I don't know, red or orange or a certain swatch of grey or black or white or whatever I fancy. I then can just duplicate the object. Like, you don't have to go through the faff of trying to replicate that exact colour, that exact swatch, that maybe use the colour wheel to get that swatch. You can literally just click on the object and then duplicate it as much as you want. If you wanted to, you could duplicate it around the whole entire house. I don't know why you would want to do that, but it's just like an extra little handy feature of like the create a style feature of this game. But you can see over here, I'm just basically going into the back garden and just filling it out with some planters. I've already done some landscaping. At this point in time, if you were to look in the top left corner of the screen, you can see that my money has decreased quite a bit. Now, like I said, coming into this build, I'd basically been building in Hometopia's career mode for some time now. You know, I've been running around the neighbourhood doing all these sort of renovation jobs, gardening job, home extension jobs. So I felt like a proper little Bob the Builder recently, because I've just been doing all these different types of home renovations for these clients. Coming into this build, I basically had racked up around about $160-ish in the bank, which I thought that should be alright. You know, like 160 grand to build a house. That's doable. I was wrong. You can see that I'm currently at around about $24,000 in the bank, which I could have probably easily furnished the house with just that 20k. But the thing is, I know what I'm like, and I'm very much someone that loves to clutter, and I love to place down more objects than probably is necessary into any sort of room. And all these things cost money. I knew that if I came into this build and I tried to attempt to furnish it with 20,000 in the bank, I wouldn't be doing it this game justice, because there are so many good furniture items, so many good decorations, just all of the interior stuff is just as good as the exterior. And so if I would have come into this build and not fully decorated it to my heart's content, I would have been a bit mad at myself. And so in a second, you will see that my price in the bank, my money in the bank rapidly just goes up. That is because basically in between me coming in and placing down all the flooring and the wallpapering, I decided to hop back into career mode, do a few different jobs here and there. I did a couple of renovation jobs. I think I did like 1 or 2 gardening jobs, like a few jobs basically, just to get my money back up, so then I could come into this build and then just go all out with the furnishing. And I'm really happy that I did that, because when it came around to furnishing the inside this house, I basically that way didn't have to hold back. I didn't have to keep on checking in the top left corner of the screen to see how much money I had left to work with, because even now I'm currently at around about 12,000, 13,000. It's really, I mean, like I said, it is probably doable, but I know what I'm like. I know I just love stuff. Like, I just love cluttering up bedside tables, units, like chest of drawers, like everything. I just love placing down stuff. Like I proper love clutter. And so I'm really happy that before I came in and I actually started furnishing the house, I popped into the career mode and I just did a few different home renovation jobs, which you can just do that. Because also as well, actually, I don't think I've mentioned this, but with Hometopia, the game saves automatically. So even if I'm not doing anything, you might have seen it as well, actually, thinking about it. When I'm recording, every so often you might see like a little blue bar appear on kind of like the upper right portion of the screen, and it says auto save complete. Basically, the game saves itself. Like, you don't have to keep on pressing on some sort of toggle and then save the game. The game auto saves, so I could literally just pop in from this house that I'm decorating, pop and go and do like a garden renovation, pop back here, and then not have to do like any saving process in that kind of duration. The game just automatically saves, which is really, really handy, because recently, and luckily I didn't experience it when I was decorating this house, but recently my house has been having a lot of different power cuts, and so it's great for that kind of situation, because I say my house, it's actually just my area in general, but my where I live has been having a lot of power cuts. I didn't basically have to worry about if I was going to have a power cut and all of my progress will be not saved, because the game just saves automatically, which is really handy. And honestly, I feel like a lot of games should have this feature, because sometimes when you're playing a game, you just get your teeth stuck into it and you completely forget to press save. I know that I have done that so many different times over the course of the years. But anyway, moving on, as you can see, I've now moved back on into the interior and I'm going around and just decorating. At this point in time, if you was looking in the top left corner, you can now see that I've got around about 60 odd grand in the bank to work with, which I pretty much just used that whole entire budget to furnish the rest of this house. So you would have seen I started off by like the little front entrance hallway. I placed down like a coat rack, I placed down some individual shoes, also ends up being like a little mirror, a bookcase, a little armchair, and now I've moved over into this quite open plan kitchen dining room space. Now when it comes round to this house itself, which by the way, at the end of the video I'm going to have overhead screenshots of this house's plan, so if you do really like the look of this game and you really want to try it out for yourself and maybe you want to recreate this build in your game yourself, I will have overhead screenshots of like the layout of the build, you know, all the different rooms. Also have one of like the roofing. I'll also have like individual screenshots of the end because I was really happy with the end result of this house, and I was really happy with the way I furnished every single room. And so yeah, there will be a series of screenshots at the end, but you'll see with kind of like the overhead floor plan, it's quite an easy floor plan, and I'm really happy with the way the floor plan came together because like I said, coming into this build, I pretty much just started off by doing the foundation, building the first exterior wall, which ended up having the front door on, and then the build kind of progressed through there. Like I then extended the foundation, built another foundation, added another wall, and then another wall, and so on and so forth. But with doing that, I kind of created this floor plan which I just find personally would be super easy. Like if a client had this house himself and a client was living in this house, I feel like this kind of floor plan for a house is quite ideal. And I also feel like it's quite American-ish. Like I said, I was trying to furnish and build like a dream American suburban house, and I feel like with American suburb houses, quite a lot of the floor plans are open plan. That might be wrong, but this is just kind of like my interpretation of that anyway. But yeah, you would have seen I just decorated the kitchen. In the kitchen, I went for the counters, which I think are called the Yorkshire counters, because the thing is with this game, there is a series of different interior decorating items that you can use, and all the different items that you have, I say all, the majority of the different items in the game will have some sort of subcategory attached to them. So they might be classed as modern, or they might be classed as Scandinavian or vintage or traditional or so on and so forth. I use the counters which are called, yeah, I think Yorkshire, and I believe that they are under the vintage category. They kind of also look a little bit traditional to me, but I feel like they were quite American suburbally, if you get what I mean. And so I decided to use them in the kitchen. Also tried to create some sort of like kitchen island. I placed down some bar stools. Also ends up being like a kitchen sink, and then I placed down some clutter onto the surfaces. And then you would have quickly just seen me do the dining room in this house. One thing that I was so happy about when I saw it for the first time, you can place down decorative kind of like plates and knives and forks, you know, like a dinner placement. There is that as decorations in this game, which to me made me so happy when I was decorating, because it just made it feel so much more realistic, and it just made it feel like clients would actually live in these houses, and maybe they're having like a fancy dinner or something, and people are coming over and they've got like their little dinner plate sitting out. And so yeah, you would have seen in the dining room I placed down these kind of like dinner plate settings all around the table. The table, I believe as well, off memory, I use that create a design system tool within the table, because when I initially pulled it out, it was a different colour, but there was a certain colour of wood which I can't even think of memory what it's called off the tip of my tongue. What I'll do is I'll look in my game in a second, and then I'll pop what the wood colour I used on the screen is called. But to me, this is like one of the nicest woods in the game, and so you will see me use it throughout this whole entire build. But yeah, I changed that big table to be a different colour because I just wasn't fancying the one that I originally pulled out. And but with this game, I can do that. I can literally change the colour of anything that I fancy, and so yeah, you would have seen me do that in the dining room. But anyway, now moving over, you can see that I've started furnishing the next room, which is this very big lounge room. I did not realise how big I made this when I was initially placing down the foundations and placing down the walls in this house, but I ended up cluttering it up quite nicely. I think I tried to make it feel as lived in as what I could possible. So in here I placed down a fireplace. You can see that when you actually pull our fireplace out of the catalogue in this game, the fire is there. Like you can just about see it in the corner of the screen. there is fire. I mean, it's very fast at the minute, but it's obviously because I've sped the footage up. But the fire is a realistic speed when you are building. It's not that fast. But I placed down 2 really big sofas, kind of wrapping around the fireplace, and then that way you can kind of look out onto the windows, which then look out onto the back garden. The sofas that I used, I think off memory, and if it's wrong, I'll correct myself with a bit of text on the screen. But I think they are traditional, and I think they're called the Sandy sofas. Just a really nice plain, just neutral looking sofa, and so I placed that into the lounge room. Also ended up placing down a little piano, kind of like off the side, along the same wall of where the fireplace is. Then placed down a little like ottoman off the piano itself, because the piano, when you pull it out of the catalogue, is just quite literally the piano. If you wanted to, you could have a dining room chair to be the little piano stool, or you could have a fancy little ottoman. I decided to opt for the ottoman, and so I placed that down. There also ends up being 2 armchairs in front of the window, and then I placed down a little lamp onto one of the side tables, and then also a bookcase in that room. But something quickly actually that I wanted to mention about the lights in this game. You might have seen me do it at certain points here and there, but you can turn the lights on when you're building, and also you can open windows when you're building. I'm only mentioning them at the same point because it's the same key. So when you're building, say for example you place down a window, you can press R and then the window will open. Same thing with doors. If you want to, you can press R and then the door will open. But then the same thing applies to the lamps in the game, and then like the ceiling lights, exterior lights. If you place it down and you kind of hover your mouse over it, you'll notice that it's got like a little floating R. If you basically press the R key on your keyboard, you can then turn the lights on, which I really like. It's quite realistic. But yeah, you would have seen me place that down into the lounge room. But now over here, I've now moved over into this little like home office kind of miniature library space. So in here, I'm gonna be honest with you, I really didn't know what I was going to initially make this room. At one point I was thinking about I could potentially make it into some sort of guest bedroom or something, but then I was thinking about all the different things that you can renovate in the game, like in the actual career mode. And I remembered that a few times I've renovated a few different libraries, because you can renovate libraries in this game. And so I thought, well, I'll make it into like a little miniature library slash home office kind of room. That way I can basically line the bookcases all on one wall and then fill out the centre of the room with some sort of like computer desk and seating area. And so yeah, that is pretty much what I did. I just used the same bookcase running alongside all of one wall, and then I placed down a desk in the middle of the room. Again, I use like the create a pattern, create a colour system within the game, and I changed the desk to be that really nice brown wood that I was talking about. I then placed down like a little open laptop onto the desk, placed down like a little armchair, and then I also placed down another 2 armchairs kind of opposite the computer desk. I was thinking maybe client meetings, maybe if clients ever want to come round to this person's house, that's maybe where they would sit or something. But then as well as that, you would have just seen me do the laundry room as well. The laundry room I just tried to make feel as realistic as what I could possible in there as well. I actually really like the way it turned out, because I just feel like it's just so suburban and it's just so right up my street. But I placed down the same wallpaper that I end up using in the bathrooms in this house. It's kind of like this blue wallpaper with these kind of like little white subway tiles. I then placed down like washing machines, tumble dryer kind of items in there. I placed down some sort of like shelving unit. I came in and I cluttered it up with loads of little kind of like baskets and towels and bottles and stuff. I then also have a door off the laundry room which goes off into a little separate half bath, so it's only got a toilet and sink in there. But now, as you can see, I've now moved on to the upstairs portion of this build. You would have just quickly seen me do one of the bathrooms in this house. In the bathroom itself, I ended up placing down a corner bathtub, a little separate like sink and toilet area, and then I also placed down some sort of cabinet, which I then decided to clutter up with loads of just different random bits and bobs that are kind of like toilety or like bathroomy, so it looks like it belongs in a bathroom. Quite similar decoration objects to the ones that I used downstairs in the laundry room. But currently you can see that I'm going around and actually just finishing up one of the first bedrooms in this house. So I decided to decorate the rooms in this house to be one for some sort of like kid baby, toddler baby possibly, one sort of like teenager, and then one sort of parent's bedroom. So you would have seen that I started off by doing the baby room. In there I placed down a little crib, placed down some sort of like changing station in front of the windows, also placed down some like chest of drawer units, cluttered them up. There is so many good paintings, by the way, in this game, and there was a lot of different paintings that I find were kind of targeted towards like kids' rooms. I think I ended up placing down ones that were like a bear, a pineapple, potentially a deer, and then also a few other like filler photos in between. But I basically tried to take advantage of all the different photo prints that we have in this game and basically try and make some sort of like wall collage. But yeah, there is a lot of different photos in this game, and honestly I didn't even dip into a small percentage of all the different paintings. There is so many different ones to choose from, whether it be like a modern style like abstract kind of painting, or if you want it to be like a black and white frame, or animals, or just loads of different paintings in this game. And yeah, I only used a small percentage of it when it came around to actually furnishing this house, because there was honestly just so many to choose from. But you can see that I'm just going around and decorating the next bedroom, which I decided could be for some sort of like teenager. So in this room, I decided to use the painting feature of the objects in this room again. I decided to change the colour of the bed to kind of match this mint green kind of wallpaper. So originally when I pulled it out, the bed was, I believe, like some sort of like creamy yellowy kind of colour, but I really wanted it to kind of match with the wallpaper that's on the walls. And so all I did is I clicked on the little paint symbol on the bottom of the screen, and then I could have painted like the duvet colour, the individual pillows, the sheet of it. You can literally design whatever portion of the object that you wanna decorate with. And so yeah, I decided to turn the bedding into a green swatch to match the wallpaper. But you can see that I've now moved over into the next room, which is actually the last room in this house, which is the parents' bedroom. So in here I did a very similar thing with the bed. I wanted it to have my own colour swatches. I wanted to go for kind of like a grey and red theme within this room. And so you can see that I decided to change like the blanket on the end of the bed, and then also the pillow in the middle to be this kind of like knitted red burgundy kind of colour. But in here I'm just going to go around, finish the room off, and that is pretty much it. So anyway guys, I'm going to end this voiceover right here. Like I mentioned, Hometopia is coming out very shortly, and so if you just fancy the look of this game and think it's going to be something that you might enjoy playing, I will have a link in my description box down below where you can go ahead to Steam and add it to your wish list. But other than that, I just want to say another thank you to Hometopia for sponsoring this video. And as always, if you guys do like my content, then please do subscribe, and hopefully I will see you in my next speed building video. Bye guys.